From the eerie silence before the storm to the thunderous hits that echo off the stadium walls, a select few NFL players have turned the field into their own personal house of horrors. That's right, we're diving into the 10 scariest players in NFL history. And topping this list of gridiron ghouls is none other than James Harrison. Oh my god, did you know this guy could be the reason Pittsburgh is forever cloaked in winter's icy grip? That's right, legend has it that every time Harrison cracks a smile, Pittsburgh gets slapped with 6 more weeks of winter. And trust me, those smiles are rarer than a polite conversation on social media. The man's got a face that screams, "I've never been amused in my life," making his pass rush moves seem like cuddles compared to the sheer terror of his permanent scowl. But hold up, let's talk about his stats. James Harrison, the dude with the piercing glare that could probably freeze lava, racked up 84.5 sacks in his career. That's right, 84.5 times he turned quarterbacks into his personal floor mats. And let's not forget, this 5-time Pro Bowler was a late bloomer, kinda like that one uncle who suddenly decided to become a DJ at 40. Harrison went from undrafted to unstoppable, breaking out at the tender age of 29, proving it's never too late to start throwing people around for a living.
Harrison almost broke my whole body. Oh my God. So as long as the James Harrison not hitting me.
Now, for a man whose intensity on the field was only matched by his ability to scare off reporters with a single look, Harrison was a true throwback. His love for delivering bone-chilling hits was as pure as my love for pizza on a Saturday night. And let's be real, the only thing more intimidating than his tackles was the mystery of whether or not he actually has teeth. Seriously, has anyone seen them? Ever? So next time you're in Pittsburgh and feel a sudden chill, don't blame the weather. It's probably just James Harrison somewhere out there not smiling. But hold on a minute. That's just a tip of how scary a player can be, which brings us to number 9. Before he hit the scene, the term sack was just something you put groceries in. That's right, folks, Deacon Secretary of Defense Jones is the man we have to thank for making quarterbacks everywhere quake in their cleats. This dude didn't just play football, he was on a one-man mission to redefine it, leading the league in sacks 5 times and racking up 173.5 of them. And that's the unofficial count. Word on the street is he probably had more sacks than a potato farmer, but who's counting? Now, Deacon wasn't just about the numbers. He was the kind of player who stepped onto the field and suddenly opposing linemen needed a change of pants.
Give you what?
Give me your top 5. You won.
We know you won.
Okay, Reggie White,
Okay.
Deacon Jones.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Deacon Jones?
See, he going errors. See?
No, but that's real though. Deacon Jones was a...
Deacon Jones? Man, listen,
His signature move? The head slap. Yes, you heard that right. While some players were perfecting their touchdown dances, Deacon was perfecting the art of making grown men wish they'd taken up knitting instead.
Jones! And look at how...
And then, there's Dick Butkus. Ever heard of him? The original beast mode in NFL? This guy was the monster of the midway before it was cool, literally growling at folks like he missed his morning coffee or something. Imagine playing football and hearing a dude snarl at you like a hungry dog. Butkus wasn't just into sound effects. Rumor has it he'd bite you in a pile-up. Talk about taking "you are what you eat" to a whole new level, chomping on players like they were his afternoon snack. And let's talk about his tackling. Dude was a nightmare dressed in a football jersey. He didn't just tackle, he punished ball carriers like they owed him money. You'd think the football was a personal insult the way he went after it. Players probably wrote wills before games against him. "If I don't make it, tell my family I love them." Now, you couldn't even throw a little shade Butkus' way without it coming back to haunt you. Lions running back Alty Taylor called him overrated and ended up sprinting into the stands to avoid Butkus' wrath in their next game. Butkus is a legend. One of only 3 linebackers to be named to multiple all-decade teams. That's like being voted most likely to succeed and best all around in the NFL yearbook, except with more teeth-gritting and opponent-crushing. He was the embodiment of fear and ferocity on the field, a true gridiron gladiator. Seriously, if football had a Hall of Fame for scaring the cleats off players, Butkus would be the first inductee. No doubt, the guy was one of the greatest and most terrifying players in NFL history. Next up, we have our number 7, with John Lynch turning the NFL into his personal haunted house. Yeah, you heard me right. This guy was like the boogeyman of the gridiron, lurking in the depths of the defense, ready to launch himself like a missile at anyone daring enough to carry the ball. Seriously, he was the main dude in those insanely tough Tampa Bay Buccaneers defenses from 1993 to 2003. Imagine lining up so far from the action but still somehow being in on every play. That's Lynch for you. A magician in pads, except his magic trick was making you regret catching the ball. Ball carriers were always on high alert, scanning the field like they were looking for the last exit before a toll, because nobody wanted to meet Lynch up close and personal. Getting hit by him was like receiving a love letter from a freight train. Totally unwanted and guaranteed to leave a mark. And let's talk about his intimidation factor. If intimidation could be bottled up, Lynch would be the main ingredient, no doubt. The man didn't just play safety, he was the safety hazard for anyone thinking they could easily cross the middle of the field. He patrolled the secondary like a shark patrols the shallows, and woe betide any ball carrier who wandered too deep. But hey, despite the ferocity, Lynch was all about precision. He wasn't just throwing himself around like a toddler in a bounce house. No, he was more like a chess player who could hit you so hard you'd be checking the rulebook to see if physical assault was part of the game.
Jones! And look at how he goes.
And then there's Mike Ditka, aka Iron Mike. Not to be confused with the other Iron Mike who punches people for a living. Before Ditka was giving us mean-worthy facial expressions on the sidelines, he was out there redefining what it meant to be a tight end. With nearly 6,000 receiving yards and 43 touchdowns, Ditka was like, catch me if you can, but also, actually please don't, because I will run you over. He played the game with the kind of passion that made you think he might start a fight with the goalpost if it looked at him funny. Revolutionizing the tight end position? More like showing tight ends how to be tight and end anyone who got in their way. So next time you see a tight end making a big play, remember Ditka probably did it first, and with a mustache.
And look at how he goes from...
When we thought we couldn't have a scarier player, Lawrence Taylor came along, landing at number 5, like a superhero among linebackers. Yeah, the guy burst onto the scene in '81 like he was shot out of a cannon and decided settling for great was for other people. He looked at the outside linebacker spot and thought, you know what this needs? More terror. And terror he brought, with an absolutely bonkers 20.5 sacks in '86. That's not just setting the bar, that's launching the bar into orbit. Imagine being a quarterback and seeing LT steamrolling towards you. That's not a pressure situation, that's a rewrite my will situation. The man was a 9-time consecutive All-Pro, which I'm pretty sure is just a polite way of saying he was the boogeyman in cleats. Most intimidating player of all time? Understatement of the century. And let's be real, if LT was coming for you, your best bet was to hope you remembered to wear your brown pants that day. The guy didn't just bring the pain, he was the VIP delivery service for it.
Here comes the rush by Taylor.
Speaking of delivery, let's move on to number 4, with Jack Tatum also acing that delivery. A guy so fierce they called him the Assassin. Yeah, standing at just 5'10", he somehow convinced everyone on the field he was a giant. Honestly, if Tatum was coming at you, you'd wish you had a sorry, wrong direction sign handy. And those poor receivers trying to catch passes across the middle? They'd catch a glimpse of Tatum and suddenly remember they forgot to turn off the oven at home. That's the kind of presence he had on the field, man. The guy was a 3-time Pro Bowler who played like he was auditioning for a spot in a gladiator arena, not a football field. In his autobiography, They Call Me Assassin, he casually mentions his hits might be considered borderline felonious assault. I mean, talk about commitment to your craft. Makes you wonder if his pre-game meal was just a bowl of nails, without any milk. And let's not forget he was part of the infamous Immaculate Reception. You know, when he hit John Fuqua so hard, the ball decided it had better chances with Franco Harris. It's like Tatum's hits were so legendary, even the football wanted no part of it. But did you know Ray Lewis could probably scare a ghost back into its grave with just his game face? Yeah, this dude was no joke on the field. I mean, talk about a legend who treated every play like it might steal his lunch money. Ray wasn't just playing football, it seemed like he was out there settling personal vendettas with the opposing team's offense. The guy was a Pro Bowler in 3 different decades. 3! That's like being voted most likely to succeed in high school, college, and your retirement home. His hits were so legendary, I heard even the football had to take a moment of silence for the player on the receiving end. And let's be real, if Ray Lewis was coming at you, you'd probably reconsider your career choices right there on the spot. Despite being a bit on the smaller side for a linebacker, he hit like a freight train. Pass catchers crossing the middle probably had beware of Ray signs in their playbooks. Now sliding right into number 2, Mean Joe Green. He was anything but mean when he wasn't making quarterbacks and running backs rethink their career choices. Yeah, this legend of the gridiron was so ferocious on the field, offensive linemen probably had to wear extra padding just to boost their courage. Throughout the 70s, Green wasn't just a player, he was the nightmare that haunted the dreams of the NFL's best, turning the Steelers' steel curtain defense into something straight out of a horror movie for opposing teams. But here's the kicker. Off the field, the guy was as gentle as a panda. Seriously, after seeing him dismantle offenses with the ferocity of a wild beast, watching that famous Coca-Cola commercial where he's all smiles and handing out jerseys like it's Christmas, you gotta wonder if we're talking about the same person. It's like finding out the boogeyman actually volunteers at the local animal shelter on weekends. Green helped the Steelers to 4 Super Bowl wins in the 70s, basically collecting rings like they were going out of style, and becoming the emotional cornerstone of a defense that other teams could only dream of getting past. And despite what his nickname suggests, Joe Green was the kind of leader that made everyone around him better, like a terrifying quarterback-sacking gentle giant. Speaking of delivery, as we wrap up our list, we've got Lawrence Taylor crashing into the NFL scene like a huge comet hitting a planet full of quarterbacks. This guy wasn't just any player, he was a one-man nightmare for anyone holding a football. Right off the bat, LT was like, rookie season, hold my helmet, and bam, snags the Defensive Player of the Year award. Who does that? Only LT, folks. And let me tell you, making the Pro Bowl became his annual holiday, 10 times over. It's like he had a season pass to the Pro Bowl, but instead of enjoying the game, he was there to haunt quarterbacks' dreams. LT didn't just play linebacker, he was the boogeyman disguised in shoulder pads, redefining what it meant to scare the living daylight out of offenses everywhere. Now, onto the juicy stuff. Offensive linemen? Oh, they had it bad. They'd look into LT's eyes and see their football life flash before them. Taylor could smell fear like a shark smells blood in the water. He didn't just read plays, he read panic. Quarterbacks facing LT would be sweating bullets, fumbling over snaps, and because they knew, they knew the LT Express was coming to town, and it had no brakes. And let's not forget, LT wasn't just a football legend, the man took his intimidation skills to WrestleMania. I mean, there was this moment when LT on one side of the ring and Bam Bam Bigelow on the other. It was like bringing a cannon to a knife fight. LT didn't just tackle, he brought the smackdown both on the field and in the ring.